Welcome to Tanakh Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live out of Kingsland, Texas, USA, with episode number 35 of TNT Exposed with Rabbi Stuart Federer from Houston, Texas. Rabbi, welcome back to the show. It's good to see you again, as always. How's your week been so far, sir? Rabbi, can you hear me now?
I can hear music.
You're funny. I actually thought we lost you there for a minute.
I am lost, but now I am found.
Not sure where that needs to go. Wow. So
this is way before your time, but there was a Christian missionary campaign, not just directed to Jews, but to everybody, and it was called I Found It. And bumper stickers and street signs and all this other stuff was put up, and I Found It was to make you want to go find out what they found, and then you'd discover that it was a Christian missionary technique. And so Jewish bumper stickers started showing up across the United States that said, "We founded it."
We founded it. That's funny. Yeah,
right.
I have to say,
and the O in the founded was a Star of David.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, that was fun times.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Do you even remember that? Do you even know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. I'm a young buck, man. Either that or you're really young. I'm a young buck, or you're just really old, one of the two.
What just happened?
I don't know. What are you trying to see what's happening? What are you watching?
Well, nothing now. My Skype, my YouTube just went away.
It's still, mine's up and it's still going live.
Okay.
Yep. We're doing good there. I'm going to check Facebook to make sure our Facebook Live is actually happening like it is, and it looks like it is. So that's good.
That was weird.
Wonderful.
As soon as doesn't matter. Hi.
You're silly. So anyway, today I was listening to I was actually listening to and watching a video that Jews for Judaism had put out.
Great stuff.
And there was this guy who was he was a Jews for Jesus, and he fell into the whole Jesus thing, and it was a really amazing testimony. And the one thing I want to talk about tonight is one thing he said, and we've discussed it before on our channel numerous times, but I just want to do it again. It's because two of the things that he first mentioned, which was always being abused and misused, was of course the virgin birth, but that's not what we're going to go over. But he wanted to go over the ka'ari, right? That should be translated as a lion. You know, they're at my hands and at my feet.
Right.
But the Christians
and
translated
450,000 times in the Bible, whenever they run across that, it says like a lion. But the one place that they want it to be, yeah.
So with that said, what passage is that? Is that in Psalms, I think? Or what is that?
Let me check. Wait a minute. I think it's 20. Give me a second. Psalm
22, maybe. Let's see. Let me ignore this update. Don't need to be updating during a show. All right. Let's see. While you search for it on your computer, I'm just going to see if this is it right here. 121.
Right. It's Psalm 22:16.
16, got it. Okay, cool. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'll read this off. By the way, the phone lines are open, y'all, if y'all want to call in. I still haven't figured out the echo issue, so just if it's not too bugging you too bad, you can still call in. Phone line will be up on your screen in just a few seconds, like right about now. So, yes, we are open. 855-95-BIBLE, if you're on the go. It's 855-952-4253. So we're going to jump right into this Psalm 22, verse 16. And so for the English, and this is the English in the King James Version of their attempted Hebrew Scriptures translation. And it says, "For dogs have compassed me, the assembly of the wicked have enclosed me. They pierced my hands and my feet." I mean, that definitely sounds like it could be someone who was crucified via the Roman cross. So moving on is not even important. What's important is that verse right there, verse 16. "And they pierced my hands and my feet." Explain to us explain to the Christian watching why that's a problem. In every aspect.
Well, it's no problem at all. What are you talking about? Sorry, I could not resist.
That's funny. Yeah, you didn't resist.
Right.
So
So let's see.
So I'll pull up the Hebrew and
let's see.
Of course, I need to put it on the screen. I don't even have it on the screen yet. Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah. So Vavuni. Wait.
Give me one moment.
What did I just say? Now I just forgot what I said.
Psalm 22:16.
16.
Yep.
16. I can't count.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one that was supposed to be in the bottom right there.
So it's.
I can't change that one. New shot. That's my guy right there. Okay. Right. So what are you coming up with? Remote desktop presenters. What I need to have turned on. Didn't read it, so let me cancel that. And cancel this. And add a new screenshot. So anyway, so it was really cool. The video, he just went on and on and on. But the cool thing is he was being straight up. He was
there we go.
a Jewish guy, and he gets drawn into this this religion. But one of the coolest things that he said in this thing, he said that because he's been out of it for years now, and he says the one thing that I find over and over again, I'm paraphrasing of course, is that it's not the ones who are studied that fall prey to it. He goes, maybe every once in a while someone who claims to be studied will fall prey to Christianity, but 99.99999% of the time, when somebody who claims to be an Orthodox Jew falls into Christianity, it's number one, they're mislabeling themselves, because just like a lot of Christians will understand this concept, is that whenever you your family's raised, your great grandpa was a Catholic, that means your mom was a Catholic, and even if you don't go to church, then you're a Catholic by default. And he said, so what they found was a lot of his Jewish people that he knew that were Jewish by blood, they would come in and say, well, I'm Orthodox. But realistically, they weren't even religious. It was their parents or their grandparents that were Orthodox Jews. And so just because someone claims to be an Orthodox Jew who converted to Judaism, that really means absolutely nothing. It has no proof, no bearing, no anything of value at all. But yeah, that 99.99999% of the time, it's the uneducated one, the ones who haven't studied their Tanakh, who don't know what the actual Hebrew says. A majority of them don't even know Hebrew. They've never, just never even studied it. And it's not until after they study it that they actually see the errors, and then they leave that thing that they fell prey to and return back to Judaism, which I think is a beautiful thing. So, okay, yes, continue.
Well, I was just going to say, I think it's a little bit more complicated as well. Nobody, and when I say nobody, I mean nobody, sits down with the biblical text, reads through it, and says, okay, I'm a Christian.
Right.
What happens is that they get sucked into any number of reasons into Christianity, and then the Christians themselves start directing their study, and then basically it's accept what we're telling you, or you're basically going to lose us as your friends, as your support system, as your shoulders to cry on, whatever it is that they're using them for. And so the belief in Jesus and Christianity comes first, then the validation of it by looking at the Hebrew Scriptures through Christian-colored glasses comes later.
Right. And one thing he said was really interesting. He says, as they were being trained, this gentleman that was giving his testimony, he goes, because he moved up the ladder very quick, because he was very influential in his realm, because of his business and because of his social media stuff that he did. And so they, of course, promoted him really, really fast. And he noticed that even with him, as well as with others, that you would always have, when they would go out in pairs, to kind of witness to the Jew, you would have the rookie, but then you would have the person who had been in this for a long time. And it's like the person who was with them, every time something was presented, he would shut them down and not let them answer, but he would give them, derail them into a different spin, so that the person they're trying to train into Christianity can't use their own logical thinking. He's trying to override what their brain is fixing to think by automatically pushing out an answer, and it's very confusing, you know. And so using that tactic, it's basically preventing that person from learning. And the funniest thing he said of the entire thing is, he goes, "You're taught whenever you're a Christian that, you know, if you like, in fact, he said right after I made my public confession in the church, you know, he goes, I mean, like moments after this, the preacher came up to me, or whatever rabbi, Jewish rabbi, whatever it comes up, and he says, now listen," he goes, "do you believe that something spiritual just happened here and that God showed you this?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure. And he asked him 3 or 4 questions, to which all he affirmed. And then he says, "Now listen," he goes, "now what's going to happen now is you're going to start having doubts." He goes, "and when you have those doubts, you need to know right away that is the devil himself trying to steal you back away from Jesus," right? And he said immediately I had this really huge confusion, because he goes, if you think about it, up until this time, he goes, I'm a young adult now. He goes, up until this time, my rational thinking was a good thing. It kept me from making bad decisions. But now, all of a sudden, now that I'm a Christian, any kind of rational thinking I might be using to try to justify right or wrong, or to decipher what's right or wrong, all of a sudden it's Satan now. And now my relationship isn't just with Jesus, it's with Jesus and Satan. And it was really ironic the way he placed it all, because I never really thought of it that way. And it's like, God gave us this ability to read, to understand, and to make decisions based on truth. But the church teaches you that you're blind, or you're misinterpreting whatever, to try to steer you away, just to try to keep their hooks in. And so it's really nice. Okay, I've got my screen up for both of us here now, so whenever you are ready, we can go ahead and proceed with
All
this.
right, well, I was just, while you were talking, I was just looking up something real quick.
Okay, sure.
And I find this just absolutely fascinating. Okay, but the Strong's on the word.
On which one?
That the King James Version has is pierced.
Okay.
Okay. In my text, it has the Strong's numbers right next to the words.
Okay.
Okay. So in mine it says H738.
Okay.
Okay, and H738 takes you straight to the word aryeh, which that says from H717. That's interesting. Okay, whatever that is. But 738 says it means a lion.
And it's funny, because mine too. I mean, this is PC Study Bible. No, I'm sorry, this is Olive Tree software that I've got here. And even in this, even though they translate it, like you said, pierced, when you click on it, you can probably see it on screen now. It literally just says lion. But so if the Hebrew says lion, then why in the world would they say pierced?
Right, and mine with the Strong's, okay, says pierced, and then it says from the margin, pierce. What in the world? I don't even know what it means, from the margin. What does that mean, from the margin? Somebody probably wrote in the margin pierce, and so that's where they're taking it from.
Right. I can see how that would be.
Now, I also have, I'm not sure who this is, but I have it here. It's King James Concordance. Thank you.
Okay, right.
The King James Concordance, okay, uses the term Aleph Resh Yud, Ari, to mean lion 56 times, and then it gives you the list.
Right.
Lions plural 17 times, and it gives you the places. Lions as a possession, like it's a lion's paw. Lion apostrophe S 4 times. Okay. Then the many legs belong to many lions, so it was the lions apostrophe legs twice. Okay, and then it says it's translated as pierced once, and guess where that is? So I'm not good in math. 4 and 2 is 6. 6 and 17 is 23. 23 and 56 is 79. 79 places the word is used to mean lion, and only one place does it mean pierced. And of course, that's where they have to make it say, "Pierce my hands and feet."
Right.
To make it look like it's Jesus.
Unbelievable.
That's the King James Concordance. Okay.
Right.
The Brown Driver Briggs in Mr. Driver, Sir was a Christian missionary to the Jews, but the Brown Driver Briggs doesn't even list the word pierced. Okay. Lion, pictures or images of lions, parts of speech, noun masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Not a verb, mind you. Okay, so you know,
Interesting, right?
And Strong's has it as this whole thing of means lion or lions or pierced from the margin. Total King James Version occurrences 80 times.
Interesting. Wow.
Right. Yep. At any rate, look, it's real simple what happens. Okay? They need to find a place somewhere in the Bible that reflects the crucifixion. So they look up every single place they can find that has the word hand or hands accompanied in the same verse with the word feet.
Right.
So they find this verse, Psalm 22:16, for dogs have compassed me, the assembly of the wicked have enclosed me. They like a lion, my hands, my feet.
Right.
Okay? That would be as literal as you can get for the translation of the Hebrew. Okay? And so they take the word ka'aryi, and I still haven't figured out what the root is they think it is to make it say pierced. I think they ignore the aleph and they make it kaf resh. But I'd have to check that out.
Are you talking about in verse 17?
In verse 16. Psalm 22:16.
Yeah,
dogs have compassed me.
It's probably 16 in the Hebrew. It's
I'm
verse
sorry.
17.
Let me go back to the King James. Yeah, the 22:16. Okay, and they probably ignore the aleph and
you mean in their translating it? You mean?
Right.
Oh, okay.
In other words, they ignore the aleph, make it look like a different word to legitimize or justify translating it as pierced, so they can create the allusion to Jesus on the cross.
So if you put kaf resh shud, if it was without the aleph, is kaf resh shud, is that a legitimate word?
I don't know. I've never found it. I've never seen. There's nothing that I have seen that gives a reference to what they're saying that the Hebrew should be.
I want to try
to make it pierced. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I want to try something real fast. Hang on. Keep talking. I got to grab my phone. It's right behind me. I've got some software on my phone that's got a Hebrew translator in it. Okay, so here we go. I just want to see if kaf resh shud comes up anything, even with the modern or semi-modern translations here. By the way, along with this app that I'm fixing to pull up on my phone, which you can't see, I also have Rabbi Federer's app on here too. So if you don't have it yet, you really should get it. Go to whatjewsbelieve.org and you'll see that app. What's the app called again?
I'm sorry, what?
Tell them about your phone app again real fast, because I'm actually using a different app.
It's both iPhone and Android, and it's Jewish Mission Control. Okay, Jewish Mission Control, and if you look it up under the where'd it go? I know you're here somewhere.
I'll put it up on the screen for them.
Yeah, the iTunes. It's Jewish Mission Control by Stuart Federer.
I'm going to put it up on screen here.
Yeah.
There it is.
If you go to Google and you type in iTunes, then Jewish Mission Control, it'll come up. It'll give you the website for the iTunes, itunes.apple.com/us/app/Jewish Mission Control, and then a whole bunch of numbers and letters.
Okay.
But I'll just Google iTunes Jewish Mission Control. It'll come up.
Okay, so now up on your screen you can at least see what the website looks like, and the here, wait a minute. Let's see.
So
anyway, basically if you
go to Google and you type in Android Android app Jewish Mission Control, it'll come up as Jewish Mission Control V2.
Okay, version 2, volume 2. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, all right. So it turns out that the Kari, or the Khafre Shud, Kari, or whatever, in contemporary now times, it actually came up as "I have," quote unquote, and I don't know much more other than what that just said. So, but there's definitely nothing there about being pierced at all.
Right. And, well, here's what happens, by the way. Okay, I'm not sure how they get it. I think they drop the aleph and they read it as Karu.
Karu. You said you have to drop the yud too, then, because it had to be a vav there.
Yeah, no, you have to change the yud to a vav.
Right. Okay, so let's see what that is. Okay.
And it says several manuscripts read Karu, and others have Karu in the margin, which affords the reading adopted by the Christian translators.
But that's really silly, because I mean that's like complete. I mean that's like blatantly changing. That's not like accidentally missing it. That's blatantly.
Well, no.
Changing.
What happens is the Christians say that the mean old evil Jews and their rabbis changed the original Hebrew in the Psalms. From Karu to Ka'ari.
And that's a good topic too, because of the Septuagint, right? And the way they say the whole Tanakh was translated by 70,
yes,
blah blah blah, and they found the Dead Sea
Scrolls.
Rabbi
so
Singer,
the Vulgate, the Syriac, the Arabic, and the Ethiopic, okay, all have the word Karu. So therefore, the Hebrew must have been changed by the rabbis. Well, what happens is they go by the Septuagint, and the Septuagint was the Torah was translated by the 70. That we know. That's in the Talmud. That's in one of the Roman historians. Okay, the non-Torah, the everything but the Torah. In other words, the Nach, the prophets and the writings, were translated by random people from the Hebrew to the Greek over a whole lot of hundreds of years, and then over time, the real Septuagint of the Torah, they added these other translations by other unknown people of varying degrees of ability to translate, and they put it all in one conglomeration, and then eventually started calling the whole thing the Septuagint, when the word Septuagint really should only be used to refer to the Greek translation of the Torah.
The Torah itself, right?
Right.
And they've tried to use the whole idea. This is something Rabbi Singer has pointed out in his books, with the caves where they had found the Dead Sea Scrolls. And so they've had a fragment of the Psalm 22, right? But it wasn't actually part of the original findings even there. It was actually found about 80 kilometers away at a different cave called Nachal Hever or something like that. And you could actually... I
didn't hear you. What was found there?
An actual fragment of Psalm 22 where it shows... Ka'ari or something like that. Anyway, but it was very sloppily written, and it looked like there was a misspelling of another word that was blatantly. So it was like they kind of gathered everything they could find that had Hebrew on it and stuck it in and said, "Hey, look at these. These are the Holy Scriptures." But that's what the Christian movement is doing. They're trying to to blend things together that really shouldn't be conjoined. So just like the whole Tanakh being called the mysterious Septuagint when it was only the first 5 books of the Torah, and later on the rest of it was translated by different people. So, okay, cool. Well, still waiting for the phones to ring. Maybe it has rang. No, it hasn't rang because I've got the volume turned up. We are logged in. So anyway, how has your week been with people? Have you been having any incidents or questions come up even by? Let me ask you an odd question. Have you had any of your congregant members come up to you and say, "Hey, I had so and so come up to me and said this about the New Testament," or a concept, trying to win them over? Does that ever happen?
Well, sure it does, but not recently.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't ask me. Well, I actually know why. We all know why.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that happens more between late November.
Right.
Okay, through April.
Right.
In other words, the Christmas through the Easter season.
Yeah, for sure.
After Easter, it falls off to almost zero.
That makes
By the
sense.
way, I got to tell you something. Michael Fairclough, in the commentary, in the live chat, makes a very interesting comment about the Psalms and their misuse and abuse by Christianity.
Where's
And he says the main issue is David and Solomon, the authors of the Psalms, were not prophets. When someone attempts to quote anything from Psalms as if it were prophecy, I try not to laugh.
Oh, that's funny. That's a really great point. Yeah.
It's a great point. It is a very great point. They were not considered prophets, and their writings shouldn't be considered prophecy of any kind.
Right on.
Good for you, Michael.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody out there, too. Delane Davis, Fernando Colon, Adam. Who else is out here? Nicholas, good to see you. Justin, Mitch. I guess this one is Always Ask Why. That's the name of their channel. Glad you're here. Glad you're watching. Nice to see all you guys, so that's good. That's good. Put your questions up here. We'll try to monitor it, or you could do like this person just did and call it.
Yay.
Yay.
They didn't want us to get too boring.
Very good. Shalom and welcome to the show. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Jay from Alabama.
Hey, Jay from Alabama. My Alabama brother. How are you?
I'm watching my favorite Monday show, TNT.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. What is a question for Rabbi Federo tonight?
Yeah, I was wondering. I've never really investigated till recently. You know, I'm a Noahide, and I know we're allowed to study every book of the Tanakh, but which books specifically are recommended reading for the Noahides? I know Genesis and Jonah. Are there any others you can throw out there? Job, maybe.
I don't understand why anybody, especially a Noahide, would be limited to only a few of the books of the Tanakh.
I think.
Now, let me remind you something. I'm not well versed in the halakha concerning the Noahides. Okay, I really have very rarely have ever had even a Noahide even walk into my synagogue. Almost all the time, the Noahide activity or whatever is online.
Right. I can say from my side, Rabbi, because I've had a lot of interaction with it. One thing that was confusing a lot of people is quite a while ago, at least a couple years ago, there was a couple things I saw going around on Facebook, just comments, and it wasn't anything major, but it was an important point. And it was basically something that said that a non-Jew, someone who is not a halakhic Jew, should not be studying blank. Okay, that blank I thought was, even I thought this, and I kind of researched a little bit, was the Bible itself, that you had to like learn from whatever. But really what that was a non-Jew should not be studying the Talmud, not the Bible itself.
Right.
You know, you can study the Bible, from what I understand even now, you study
makes a lot more
everything in
sense.
the entire, and in the entire Tanakh is fully open game for study. It's the Talmud itself, the oral tradition, which was something that was never supposed to be written down to begin with, so it's called oral, and so that it could only be handed down to certain people through oral teachings. But now that it's actually on paper, you've got every Christian in the world trying to study up on it or trying to find out negative claims just so they can disprove it. So in general, it's the Talmud really that is discouraged against studying it, not
Talmudic,
Tanakh.
Rabbinic thought, rabbinic writings in the Talmud really have very little to do, if any, with the Noahide community. It's really all about living one's life Jewishly.
Right. Right.
And that would make sense to me. But to say,
I'm going to hang up and take this next caller. Okay. So good question. Okay. Keep talking. Yeah. We'll take this next call in just a second. Caller, just stay on the phone.
Well, I was just going to finish by saying that to say that a Noahide should not read even a part of the Tanakh makes no sense to me.
Right. And
now, his question might have been, what are the better ones for a Noahide to read?
Right. In which case you would answer.
Well, Genesis comes to mind. The prophets in general. I understand why Noah. I understand why Jonah would be recommended, but I don't see. I can understand directing their attention to certain things.
Right. Right.
But to say, no Tanakh for you, buddy, makes no sense to me. I'm sorry.
I've never.
But again, William, I don't know the halakha for Noahides.
Gotcha.
In Houston, Texas, there was a gentleman from not Dallas, but Arlington, Texas, who used to literally fly down to Houston, have a meeting or whatever at a room in a hotel, and then fly back to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, basically on the same day. Okay, and my mind just went blank on his name. He really was supposed to be the model for Harrison Ford in the Raiders of the Lost Ark movies.
Interesting.
And I just went blank on his name. May he rest in peace. And I used to attend those lectures, by the way, because I thought they were fascinating.
All right.
And that was in the early 1990s. But beyond that, I don't think I've ever had someone walk into my synagogue and say, "Hi, I'm a Noahide."
Interesting.
I think that's.
Well, it's not a biblical term. It's a term created to
Well, it's
reflect
a
on
concept,
it. Yeah, the concept is, but not the term itself. There's no
right,
such thing as Noahide in general. Ger
right,
maybe,
but,
or Ger Toshav, or Ger Tzaddik, whatever you call it.
Yeah,
So.
right.
So.
And Ger Tzedek would have been a later application. Ger Toshav.
One living in the land, right?
Right.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let's go ahead and take this next caller. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name.
Sorry to keep him waiting.
No, it's okay. Please tell us your name. Where are you calling from?
Hey, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Safir Ahmed. I'm a Muslim. I'm the Muslim brother from Canada.
Hey, alaikum shalom. Welcome to
my
the show.
question for the rabbi is not really regarding the New Testament, but the Old Testament from Genesis. So the Christians use this verse from Genesis chapter 19, verse 24. They say there are two lords here, and they try to justify their Trinity from this verse.
Genesis.
So if you want, I can read you the verse too. I'm pretty sure Rabbi knows.
Did you just say Genesis, right? Genesis 19:24.
Yeah, Genesis 19, verse 24.
Okay, then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah and the brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. Oh, so the Lord mentioned twice?
Yeah, they said these are two lords over here, so that means
that's interesting.
they're two persons or something like that.
That's interesting. I've never heard that. I don't even think me and Rabbi Singer's ever discussed that one.
Yeah.
No, the Christians talk about this all the time.
Really? I'm glad you brought that up then. We definitely need to cover this.
Let me, I'm sorry, what was his first name?
Safir.
Safir. It would be like saying, and Safir went to the grocery store and Safir bought some food. Oh, 2 Safirs.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I read the commentary, the Chumash commentary. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the
I read that
right.
too, and that's what it said on the thing. So I just wanted to clarify more. So that's why I asked you, Rabbi.
Right. Remember, they're using the same. Okay. This is the conflict that happens with the translation when they take the 4-letter name for God, the holiest name for God, the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey, okay, and they translate it as Lord instead of, well, people lose the idea that it's a proper noun, it's a name, okay, and it's the same name, okay. Right. If they translate it as Lord, okay, so then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah, brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven, okay. Since it's Lord, you lose the idea that it's the same entity.
Right.
But if you understand, if you remember that the original Hebrew, the 4-letter name, the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey,
it's
spells
specific.
out God's most intimate name. Okay, that would be like saying, then Safir rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah, brimstone and fire from Safir out of heaven. It's the same entity.
Right. I mean,
it's the same name. Right.
Yeah, the Hebrew. I mean, the Hebrew text itself, unlike in the Psalms where it says the Lord said to my Lord, right? Which actually in Hebrew has two different. I know that's my point. So like in Psalms, it has the sacred name, and then it says La Adoni rather than just that, where you could possibly mistake it. Here you can't, because both places it specifically spells out the 4-letter sacred name in both locations. So there's no way that could possibly mean anything other than what it says.
And especially when you understand that the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey is a proper noun. It's a name.
Yeah, right.
The unpronounceable, we don't know it name.
Right. Yeah,
so,
that's really good.
Thanks a lot. That helped me a lot, though.
Hey, great, Safir.
I hope so. Thank you.
Shalom Aleichem, man. Take care. Thanks for the call. Good call. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, that's
you
really
know,
cool.
it is so funny to me that any verse can be taken by anybody and interpreted in any way they want to interpret it to make any kind of meaning they want to get out of it.
Right, right. Man, so the viewers out there, we still have 15 minutes or more. So if you've got any like Grand Slam Christian like scripture references that they like to use, call us in with one or put it up on your text. I'm watching Facebook and Rabbi's watching YouTube. So if you're watching and if you got something you want to have discussed, even if we've discussed it before, but you think it'd be good for tonight's topic, call in, type it in, do whatever, and we'll cover it. So because I mean the whole purpose of this show and every other show is to address every possible claim from the New Testament believers that would push their JC figure as the Messiah, regardless of what title he has or proper noun he goes by. So that's the whole point. So if you got something in your mind, don't be bashful. If you are bashful, just type it on your screen. Type it in the YouTube chat or put it here on Facebook. Either way, and we will most certainly cover it.
By the way, Michael again raises a good point. I can't remember names, but the gentleman who called in asking about the Noahide question about what parts of the Bible,
Jay from Alabama,
would be a great question for Rabbi Kaufman.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. Yep, that's a good point. Rabbi Kaufman, Wednesday nights every week, controversial issues. So if you want to call in and bring that in, we can certainly do that. So that's not a problem. Okay, cool. Shalom Emmanuel, Julie, Lucan, it's good to see you all. Thank you for tuning in via Facebook.
By the way, Andrea mentioned something that's very interesting.
All right, what do you got?
Okay, well, she says, I've only heard to not delve into Zohar and other more advanced books without understanding Torah very well. You can easily go astray.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
The tradition about the Zohar and about other mystical Kabbalistic texts is you're supposed to be very well grounded in this world. You're supposed to be 40 years of age or older, married with children. Okay, so you're very well grounded in this reality.
Gotcha. Interesting.
And the problem is that when they say don't go into Zohar until you're very well versed in Torah, it's because do you remember, if you've ever seen it, Fiddler on the Roof?
Oh yeah.
Okay, in the Fiddler on the Roof, they have the at 3 I started Hebrew school. At 10 I learned that. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So if you're 40 years of age before you even pick up a mystical work, and you've been studying intensely, like a yeshiva studying Judaism at 3, you've got 37 years of intensive Jewish training before you even pick up a word of Kabbalah.
Wow, that's deep.
So that's why they're going to tell people what Andrew's referring to is, don't go into the Zohar until you know what you're doing, because if you're not well grounded in this world, you're going to wind up, having major problems when you start studying about other spiritual realms.
Andrea, thank you for bringing that up, because it got him to say something that I needed to hear more about, and he just explained it to me better. That's brilliant. That's really cool. I'm glad we kind of covered that a little bit. So.
Right.
Okay, so apparently people are just not feeling talkative tonight.
Thank you. It was Vendel Jones who used to fly in, and teach about the Noahides, and then fly back the same day, and I would come and hear him speak. That's a long time ago. That's almost 30 years ago, 25 years ago.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Charlie Gonzalez put up Vendel Jones also.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool. That's weird. I can't see all my comments now. Every time I click it, I wonder if it's...
Wait. Acts 2, 16, 17.
All right, I'll pull that up now. All right.
Hold it.
That ain't going to be there.
Where are you? There you are. Acts 2. And then he said what? 16, 17, I think he said.
But this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel, and it shall come to pass in the last days, saith God, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. So what was the comment attached to that? Wondering about where the prophecy is, or?
No. Here's a New Testament question. Is Acts chapter 2, verse 16 to 17 a fulfillment of the prophecy by Joel? In order to be In order to be a fulfillment of the prophecy of Joel, does that mean that every single time you have, how is it worded? men and women, sons and daughters prophesying,
Right.
and young men seeing visions and old men dreaming dreams, then it's a fulfillment of Joel 2. So every time
So it's
you get
fulfilled
onto
long
the,
before the New Testament ever showed up. Then.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
Or every single time you see these, frankly, they're usually from Africa, where you've got this preacher with Holy Spirit going around the entire room touching people, and they fall over, and they're, then is that also a fulfillment?
Right.
I mean,
right,
how
right,
often?
right.
How often do you want to get that? How often do you want to fulfill the Joel passage?
Well, what's interesting is I think in Jeremiah somewhere 36:27 or one of those, we discussed it a couple weeks ago on a different show. That it really throws a really like a hard curveball to Christians who use the prophets for their vilification, because it says, I will put my spirit in you as a future tense thing, and it says, and I will cause you to keep my commandments, and that's actually the prophets. So it's like, really? So if you say you have the Spirit, why is it causing you to not keep the commandments? Just something food for thought. Okay.
Holy Ghost machine gun, Benny Hinn, right?
Benny Hinn, that's funny. Okay, caller, welcome to the show.
Right.
Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Hey, William and Rabbi Federo. It's Brian from Maryland.
Brian, welcome back to the show, man.
Hi.
What is your question? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got a New Testament question tonight.
Excellent. Go for it.
And so, what do people teach about the concepts of the Lord's Prayer?
Gotcha.
Because where I live, a lot of public places, they're always saying the Lord's Prayer, and I want to know what to teach my kids.
Gotcha. In other words, is it kosher for a Noahide or just a non-Jew in general to teach the Lord's Prayer? But why would they call it the Lord's Prayer? And I'm thinking I'm kind of carving things off now. So my further question, to kind of contextually put it the way I think I'm hearing it, is there? Surely there's a better way, definitely a better name than calling it the Lord's Prayer, because the New Testament reflects the Lord as Jesus, not as Hashem. So does all that come from the Hebrew Scriptures? And if so, should we continue to use that, Rabbi? Or should we say, we've already got that covered through this other set of prayers?
Okay, here's my take on it.
Does that sound right? Does that
Okay.
sound okay the way I put that, by the way?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
All right, here's the thing.
Hey, Rabbi, hang on one second.
I'm going to hang up.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, go ahead and hang up, and you can tune in for the answer. Perfect. Okay, Rabbi, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you for your call.
Yep, bye.
That's a great question. I'm glad that's man, good stuff coming
All
out
right,
tonight. Good.
here's my take on it.
Okay.
Okay, and there are books on this, that passage after passage from the Lord's Prayer, Matthew chapter 6, verse 9 and following. Okay, most of it, if not all of it, can be shown to come from Jewish sources that predate this.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, it's an interesting thing. William, have you ever been to Jewish services?
Yes.
Okay, you've heard the term Kaddish, right?
Yes, of course. Mm-hmm.
Obviously. Okay, when people talk about the Kaddish, okay, they're usually talking about the mourner's Kaddish, Kaddish Yatom,
Okay.
which is start over.
Yit-
Kaddish from the word kadosh means holy. It's a
Right.
sanctification of God.
Okay.
It's a way of saying God is very, very holy. What does holy mean? Special, set apart, different. Okay. The Yit Gadal v'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah. Okay. Exactly.
Right.
Okay, that's the passage I'm talking about.
Okay.
All right, in the prayer book, there are 4 different kinds of Kaddishes, to use an English ending on a Hebrew Aramaic word. Okay, but there's in the context of the text of the Siddur, the prayer book, they are used as markers for the end of a rubric of the service, a section of the service. Okay, so like preceding the Amida, okay, or there's a Kaddish that's the Rabbanan after study. Okay, there's the unfortunate one that's recited only at graveside, which most people don't even know about. Mourner's Kaddish and the complete Kaddish, Kaddish Shalem. But anyway, the point is that the first verses of it, not verses, the first sentences, I should say, of the Aramaic Kaddish that we recite, okay, not accurate, not perfect, not, verbatim, word for word, but a paraphrase of that first opening really would be, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Okay. Right.
Okay. That's not a great translation. It's not a perfect translation. But if you look at the translation of the Kaddish and compare it with the opening phrases of what's called the Lord's Prayer, okay, and conceptually, give us this day our daily bread, forgive our sins as we forgive those who sin against us, okay, these can be shown to come from various Jewish sources that predate Jesus.
Right, gotcha.
That predate the Gospels of Matthew, okay, and wherever else they're found.
Gotcha. Now let me jump in.
But William, wait a minute.
Okay.
My point in saying that is,
yes,
just because its source material may be found within Jewish sources does not make the Lord's Prayer a Jewish prayer.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's, as you pointed out when you first responded to him, it's called the Lord's Prayer. That doesn't mean God's prayer.
Right.
That means Jesus' prayer.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay. It's not a Jewish prayer, even though individually sentences or verses in it can be shown to have Jewish, source material.
Right.
So no, I don't think Jews or Noahide should be reciting this because it is in fact explicitly Christian in its
in its origin, in its compilation. Right.
It is compilation. That's the
right.
word. Okay. The Lord they're referring to when they say the Lord's Prayer isn't God. It's
right.
Jesus. So I don't believe Jews ought to be saying it, certainly, and I don't think that Noahide should be either, unless they're going to try to make a, which I can't see how they could do that, statement that I'm a Christian and a Noahide.
Gotcha.
Only Christians should be reciting Christian prayers, just like I believe only Jews should be reciting Jewish prayers.
Okay, so now on that same path, outside the Shema, is there an easy to handle prayer in Judaism that would be good for me and for for all of our friends?
William, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable,
right? Okay,
knowledgeable enough to
That's
answer
cool.
a question like that.
That's
Rabbis Kaufman, okay, Rabbi Skobach certainly, Rabbi Singer certainly, Ira Michelson certainly would have a much better handle with that than I do. I don't. I'm telling you, I have yet to have one person walk into my synagogue who even knows the term, B'nai Noach or Noachide or whatever.
I can tell you what I think. I mean, if somebody came up to me tomorrow and asked me that question, what are at least one or two good Hebrew prayers that I could pray or teach my children? One would be the Shema, because it's short and sweet, and then the Ve'ahavta, because both of those, they kind of go together anyway, and they really are just in depth about putting God straight before you and studying when you wake up, when you lie down, and all this other stuff. You teach them diligently to your kids. And so I think those we actually still do here, at our house.
Yeah, but that would make sense.
Yeah. So you can start with that until we find some different answers for you. That's definitely would be nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think there's a book by a reliable author that has a prayer, that has a collection of prayers for B'nai Noach, but I can't offhand tell you what it is.
Gotcha.
Or who wrote it. I just remember, I think, seeing it. Or maybe they were talking about writing one. I can't remember.
Right, gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. Well, we've got time for another question. If you guys are interested, call in or put your question up where we can see it. And otherwise, we're going to be toning down here in just a few minutes. Do you see any more questions up there, Big Daddy?
No.
Jeez. That's funny. Okay, let's see. Okay, cool. Yeah, I really don't know that I could go and actually read through all these. Oh, okay, very good. William Morales asked me to share.
Yeah, I have no idea who this is.
Hang on just a
Noahide
second.
World Center.
Rabbi, hang on one second.
They have prayer book for Noahides.
This is for William Morales out there. The software that I'm using is PC Study. I'm sorry, is actually Olive Tree. So you basically have to go and download. It's a free app for your phone and for your computer. You have to download the app, and once the app is actually on your phone or computer, then you have to go download the module that works with inside the app. Some of them are free, like I think the King James was free, and the ESV was free, American Standard Version was free, but to get the Hebrew, you actually have to pay for those if you want to use this app. And I've got several software, and the only one I've ever gotten that you can still get for free that has Hebrew, but it's just not as user-friendly as what I have here. If you're looking for a free version, you can go and get eSword, e-sword.com, and they actually have Hebrew there.
.net. It's .net.
Oh, is it really? Okay, so eSword.net.
Yeah, eSword.net.
And you can actually.
And by the way, that's what I'm using right now is eSword.
That's cool. I used to use that a lot, and I just didn't like the format and layout. It was really not very user friendly. So, but anyway, I've got several softwares that I use. PC Study Bible is one of them that has some really fantastic, but sometimes it acts weird on my screen, so I stopped using it here. But it's very expensive. This is like I think $35 for this module, whereas PC Study Bible was like $400 for that kit that I bought there for like 6 years ago. But yeah. Olivetree.com, and then download the desktop app, or for your phone, the application for your phone, and then look for, it's called the BHS. I don't know what that stands for. Hebrew something like that. So BHS Parshed Bible is what it's called, and then you can find it that way. So, and also I downloaded, which I had to pay a copy for. It was the Complete Jewish Bible because we use it to reference it a lot. So, but there's a lot of, it's really good software. So. Okay, Rabbi, go ahead and say what you were saying a minute ago, if you can remember.
I think I finished my point.
Oh, did you? Okay, gotcha. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't see. Benny Hinn is a Freemason, not a Christian. Interesting. I never heard that before.
I saw that.
Really?
I'm not sure Benny Hinn would agree with that statement, but okay.
Benny Hill, maybe.
By the way, the Freemasons used to have different levels.
Levy Lou.
Like different whatever.
Yeah.
And Jews were not allowed to be in certain parts of the Freemasons.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I actually did an interview with...
I'm not sure if that's still true, but I know it used to be true because my father actually was a Mason. And when he was in St. Louis as a young man, but... there are certain parts of the Freemason that you were not allowed to be in if you were a Jew.
Very interesting.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you, Rabbi, it's been a great show. Thanks for hanging out with me as usual. It's always fun. It's always good to see all the viewers and the callers out there too. So thank you all for your questions. They really were fantastic. If you want to, for those of you who don't
know. By the way,
yes.
Joshua, I'm sorry to interrupt, just real quick. Joshua South says, Rabbi, I had a steam coming out of my ear moment when a Christian the other day, when he asked me why I wasn't Christian. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall for that conversation.
That's funny.
Yep.
Cool deal. Yep, so we're going to go ahead and log out of here, and then we'll see you guys again for this show 1 week from today, same time, same place. And if you want to tune in on Wednesday, Rabbi Chaim Kaufman, Controversial Issues. There's going to be some good topics there that you might not want to miss. And if you're interested in going on the Tanakh Talk tour to Israel with me and Rabbi Singer, find me on Facebook. And I've actually got a calendar event set, so I'll start keeping all the updates there. So anyway, so until later, Rabbi, thank you so much. It's been a blast as usual. And so thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you same time, same place next week. So until then, Shalom Aleichem, everyone. Shalom, Rabbi. Take care.
See y'all later.